but he'd been happy to retire and become the next official cat of the weaver's cat. He lived in the shop, and the shop lived in one of 3 connected houses that were part of a mid-19th century row house on Main Street. If you faced the row, we had the house on the left. That put us on the corner of Main and Fox Streets, giving us light from 3 sides. Granny and Granddaddy moved into the house when they were married. Granny, a weaver, spinner, and dyer, started the weaver's cat in a corner of the living room. Over time, the shop grew until it filled most of the rooms, and after Granddaddy died, Granny let it take over completely. Then she'd bought the little yellow house on Lavender Street and walked home there each night. And now I did, too. In the kitchen, Argyle lifted his chin toward the top of the refrigerator and said, "Mph." A damp sigh came in response, followed by, "So, it took the cat to finally drag you in, did it?" Geneva shimmered into view on top of the fridge, looking as lively as a heap of forgotten dish rags, and sounding like the ghost of, well, like a ghost. That I knew what a ghost looked and sounded like still blew my science and reality-loving mind away. 8 months ago, I would have looked for the hidden camera. Now I could tell this ghost's mood from her dismal sigh even before she delivered her snarky greeting. But to say that she looked like a heap of dish rags wasn't really fair. She wasn't as solid as a heap of anything. Looking at her made me want to blink or squint my eyes to bring her into better focus. Neither helped. Geneva looked no more substantial than gossamer fine lace seen through a rain-washed window, and sometimes just as sad. I liked her, though, and gladly called her my friend. "Good morning. How are you?" I smiled, ignoring her doldrums. One of her favorite jokes started with the line, "I'm not a morning person." Then, depending on her mood, she might laugh and say, "That's haunted humor, because I'm not much of a person at all." Or the joke might end with her impression of Greta Garbo and the line, "I want to be alone." She did Ellie Mae Clampett better than Garbo, but the Garbo meant that Geneva really was in a funk. "Have you noticed that I can't count on you anymore?" she asked. "You're so late this morning that you barely have time to feed Argyle, and none at all to clean his litter box. He can't count on you anymore either." "Sorry about the box, old man. I'll do that as soon as Artis gets here. There's plenty of time for breakfast, though." I tipped crunchy fish kibbles into his dish and gave him fresh water. He rubbed his chin against one of my shoes in thanks before digging in. "Look, I think he's forgiven me." Geneva humphed, but followed me to the front room. She floated to a favorite perch on the mannequin that stood near the sales counter. The mannequin wore a stylish knitted cape and hand-felted fedora, both in forest green. The fedora had a pheasant feather stuck in a deeper green ribbon circling its crown. One of our customers had made the cape and hat. Geneva, drooping on the mannequin's shoulder, might have brought the jauntiness of the ensemble down a peg or two, but instead her misty translucence turned a lovely sage color. Together they looked not quite festive, but certainly interesting. "You look nice on her shoulder this morning, Geneva." She humphed again, but sat up straighter and rested an elbow on the fedora. I continued getting the cash register ready for the day, but when I looked up again, I saw Geneva leaning forward, her hollow eyes on the bakery bag. She took a few tentative sniffs, lifting her nose the way Argyle had. Then she left the mannequin and drifted over to the counter. She settled next to the bag, and that gave me the only hint I needed about one of the ingredients in the scones. I went to unlock the front door and flip the sign from "We're home counting sheep" to "Come in and knit a spell." When I returned to the counter, Geneva was obviously trying not to be obvious about her interest in the bag. I opened it, sniffed, and held it out to her.